This is kind of getting washed in here now. And as I do this, things change, obviously. I'd like to point out that I took, okay, this is washed in now. It's becoming blurry to you and to me. That's fine, I have a plan. But this used to be a part of the distance. This rock is now adjacent to this one and part of this focal area. I thought, you know, if I'm going to make the foreground strong, then let's go whole hog, you know. Let's move it over to the right a little bit more. So this rock now, or this boulder, or this piece of bedrock, is going to also carry more light. This will be familial to this. So this, and this will all be married. The distance begins here, and we push it off into the back that way. Washed in the foreground now, kept it dark. I want to do that because if I were to wash in the water in the colors that it's going to be painted, minus 1 or 2 points on the value scale, then I would more or less just have my colors in place and I would paint over it. I don't always like to do that. When your foreground is simply water, your water has to be important enough to support all of this, then the spaces between your brush strokes need to be dramatic enough, right? So you have strong brush strokes. You also have to have dark areas between them. You need that contrast. You need that contrast between dark and light. And you don't need to reserve that until you're painting the final painting in. You can work with it on your underpainting, which is kind of what I'm working at right now. So, in short, pulled this to the right. Water's dark but strong, right? We'll make our decisions about the strength of the water later, but at least I have a good dark foundation. I know that I wanted a sliver of light coming in from the right-hand side. The right is coming from the upper right over here. And this slash of light will spill across the water, catch the rocks, jump up onto the rocks. Even here, you know, a little bit here as well, here and then onto the trees. And that will introduce us from the water, through the rock, in the trees, into the sky, where there's going to be quite a bit of light and hopefully a good, decent variety of light as well. So I'm just kind of monkeying around here. My water, my dark water, has been ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. My rocks back here were cobalt blue and raw umber, no white. Then when we came closer, we had raw umber. Actually, raw umber, a bit of ultramarine blue and white, and then just going to straight raw umber. But it's just the wash in. Think of it as a refined tint, because that's really all it is. It's just, I'm just tinting the canvas in a somewhat more accurate way than I normally would. Okay, I do want that dark back there, so maybe I shouldn't spend too much time painting back in that direction. Kind of like the idea of this strength being laid off the canvas in a line, a thin line, off to the right. And that's why I'm doing things the way I'm doing it right now. So mixing up some more ultramarine blue here. That's pretty dark. You know what? That's dark enough. I'm just going to go right back there. Because that line is not going to be that strong. The line below it is going to be strong. Man, it's okay if we blur them a little bit as well. Let me add just a hint of cobalt blue. Or no, not cobalt blue. Yellow ochre. Warm it up. Make it a little bit greener just for the last couple of strokes here. No, I'm not going higher value. I'm just making it a tad greener. Yes, I'm raising the temperature, but not the value. That's the idea. And if it's not perfect, that's fine. You don't want perfect anyway. You know, even when you do your overpainting, you don't want perfect. If a painting is perfect, it's just boring. It's those little imperfections that make things interesting. Okay, so that's pretty much how everything's going to sit in the foreground. And I'm not going to worry about anything here for now. What I'm going to do is jump into the sky. Next thing, I guess I should mention that when I painted these three trees, I used ultramarine blue and burnt sienna and bits of yellow ochre to warm them up, you know, raising the temperature of these trees. And then with a fresh brush, a clean brush, I used cobalt blue. The difference between ultramarine blue and cobalt blue is remarkable on their own, obviously, but when you mix them with other colors as well. Cobalt blue, anytime you get into the distance, cobalt blue is a very handy paint to use. It's just cooler, greener, bluer, obviously. So to push this next line of trees back, you know, from here right through to here, and over on the left-hand side as well, instead of ultramarine blue, I used just cobalt blue. No yellow ochre, just cobalt blue and burnt sienna, and actually a hint of white. So that will, you know, it doesn't show so much right now, but that will aid in the final painting to push things back. You can't see as clearly as I can what's going on in the painting right now because the camera can't pick it up. The camera cannot identify very clearly subtle differences between colors or values. Sometimes it does a better job than I think it does, but I think in this case it's safe to say that you probably can't see it very clearly. The reason being, from here down is dark and washed in. Here up, it's white, and that's reflecting so much light back at the camera, you know, it distorts everything. Once the sky is washed in, you will see this come to light. You know, you'll see this come to life. You'll see quite a bit happening there. And that's still only the wash-in. Anyway, next time we visit, this sky will be washed in. And after that, quite likely I'll start with the sky. And I'm really hoping for a lively, well, of course, spectacular sky. Hope I'm not being too cocky by saying that, but I hope for that anytime I'm going to paint the sky. So, anyway, so far so good. Quite like it. Hope your weekend is going well. And we will talk to you, well, very soon.